UK, the Dark Lineal, back again with another video. Hope everyone's good, hope everyone's well. Don't worry, we're gonna push through this COVID thing like dust. It's gonna be, so just keep well. Yeah, so on the heels of the recent rumors of what's been happening with Batman, and I was gonna make a video regarding Michael Keaton supposedly replacing Ben Affleck as Batman. That was going around all the social media everywhere, and so many websites were covering it, and they were saying that they were true and saying what it was going to be, and that they had confirmation. But supposedly that's all been debunked, and that what was told or what we heard originally about the replacement isn't in fact true. I knew to sit back on this because things didn't seem right, because for one, I remember a while back, Ben Affleck had been speaking to Zack Snyder, I think, regarding his own, in Warner Bros, regarding a version of his Batman. Obviously that's been put on hiatus, but I do believe that his involvement, he will be returning back in some regards. I know it's up in the air at the moment, and it's very hard to actually get a concrete, exact feeling of what's going to happen, especially with the Zack Snyder's version of Justice League that will be coming out, in HBO Max. But I think he will return back in some capacity, and there might be a deal that might be pending. But again, there's no point in releasing information when things are still up in the air. So, and obviously with the news of Ray Fisher sadly leaving, Warner Brothers, so DC right now are in a turbulent situation. But yeah, anyway, as I mentioned before, Michael Keaton, that new Michael Keaton Batman rumor just got debunked. So yeah, it got debunked. So let us read. So from Cinema Blend, they're also a good source to rely upon. I always like to go to them. It speeds. The internet, by and large, is often filled with rumors and speculation. This is true of news in virtually every field: politics, sports, especially entertainment, especially comic book movie news. Fans sometimes read or hear what they want to read or hear, despite veracity or given fact, which allows rumors to spread like wildfire until they are snuffed out at the source. This recently happened after DC Films president Walter Hamada told New York Times that there will be two Batman characters, one played by Robert Pattinson and the one played by Michael Keaton in the DCEU. We knew that fans, however, took it one step further and translated to that meaning that Keaton was permanently taking over the role and potentially squeezing out Ben Affleck. Well, that's not the case. As I mentioned before, I just said, things didn't add up then. So at least not yet, as the proper reporter mentioning the news, Brooke Barnes, clarified this week. So Brooke Barnes, who was the person who made the suggestion in the news on the supposed replacement, he sets the record straight. Been offline, moving apartments, and returned to this Michael Keaton craziness. I was referring to the one film that Keaton has been announced as being in, not a set of his own Batman films. If I had info on him beyond The Flash, I would obviously put it in my article. But to be honest with you, you should have made yourself very clear to begin with. When you start to sort of say all of this and dismiss and say who you think is going to be Keaton has been announced, and of course, with Hamada coming out saying that it's going to be two Batmans, of course, people are going to come to their conclusion thinking that, oh, well, if Michael Keaton's coming in and if Robert Pattinson is ushered in as the new Batman, then that remains that Ben Affleck will sadly be pushed out. But you did not make that clear, and that's the problem. Word of advice, bro, make sure you be very concise and clear exactly of what you're going to do and say, because like you said, people will take any sort of news from social media if it's not said clearly and run off with it, which obviously a lot of people did. I just sat on the fence with this one because I said, well, I need to find out with Ben Affleck in terms of what's going on. And then, like I said, the Ben Affleck thing, we don't know what's going on. That's been up in here. So I think until Justice League happens, we might get some clear views on precisely where DC is going on from there. So yeah, and obviously with Flashpoint, which supposedly is going to sort of retcon the whole of the DCEU, and that's for all you DC fans. So, as it continues, the New York Times reporter whose words were being twisted to fit the narrative posted on Twitter that his reporting in context only referred to Michael Keaton in the one movie, The Flash. It was announced during DC fandom last year that Keaton would return to a role he made popular in 1989, as well as in 1992, the sequel Batman Returns. Keaton hasn't played the Caped Crusader since then, though he's a fan favorite for his iconic portrayal, helping to launch the cinematic interpretation of The Dark Knight and paving the way for such actors as Val Kilmer, Christian Bale, and yes, Ben Affleck. They forgot to say George Clooney as well, but that was quite a big thing for, no one really knew George Clooney that well anyway, because, he was famous in the ER, but I think it was Batman was one of the rules that got him into that sort of, people saw him differently, so yeah. So it reads as the Flash director Andy Muschietti even showed off concept art that had Ezra Miller, Barry Allen alongside Michael Keaton's Batman, which would happen, we assume, because Barry accesses the multiverse and steps into the realm of Tim Burton's Batman. The Brooks Burns' latest tweets means that Michael Keaton is not staying in the Batman role, at least not for now. If he were to stay on as a mentor role in the DCU, as has been rumored, this could lead into an adaptation of the popular DC story Batman Beyond, where a much older and grizzled Bruce Wayne trains and oversees the actions of crime-fighting teenager Terry McGinnis in a future Gotham City. That's something DC fans would love. Yep, I think a lot of DC fans would love to see that. So that's a possibility. But then there are Zack Snyder fans who are clamoring for the Restore the Snyderverse push that returns Ben Affleck to the centerpiece of Batman stories. Can both happen? Of course, but jumping into conclusions based on one line in New York Times report is undisciplined. The future is still being written at Warner Bros. And DC, and thanks to introduction of the multiverse, the possibilities are endless. Given the fact that Walter Hamada wants to balance both theatrical and HBO Max in the DC storytelling options, there's even more room for Batman and women of all shapes and sizes. We shall see how Batman returns to the action in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is coming to HBO Max in March. Yep, as I've been saying. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, this is all sort of like a wishful thinking. You know what? The possibilities, I don't think they have to just, they don't have to, I think they can just triple up on that. They don't have to just have the two. Maybe they can have three. They can have three versions of Batman. You have the one which is from another verse, which is obviously Robert Pattinson, which could be building up that established DC world. I mean, apparently, obviously, if that comes after Flashpoint, I suppose, if DC, if Batman comes before Flashpoint, then again they could retcon it and then develop from then. Or if Flashpoint comes before Batman, then again Batman, Robert Pattinson will be the future to lead the DCEU. You know, bring back a Superman. You know, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, Flash, Hawkman, all of them. You know, you can establish that properly, that route. And then if you got the Zack Snyder, now the Zack Snyder one, I'm thinking you could actually have that coincidentally run along with the current one, which is the Robert Pattinson. And by that, have you ever thought perhaps that Zack Snyder, and I was thinking very much about this, that perhaps he's developing the evil part, the negative, the anti-hero versions of the DC verse. I mean, that would be an interesting color, because we saw in was it Batman vs Superman, a very futuristic time where Superman was actually bad, and this was, I think, followed through a period where Darkseid had ruled the world, and it had definitely had multiple routes of where you could really go to. I could definitely see definitely the evil version of Batman, you know, like the Owl. He could be birthed from there. Like, imagine Ben Affleck suddenly comes out of his guise of Batman. Maybe he becomes the Owl. That would be an interesting twist. All the heroes that we know, you know, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, you know, maybe they revert and turn evil. Maybe they turn bad, and they could be the sinister version of the heroes that we know. And that would be a very interesting way to bring them in. So they're from an alternate future, where things have gone chaotically bad. Because I think we all remember the scene where in Batman vs Superman, Batman has a gun and he takes it, and he obviously has no compunctions upon using it. So he's very much about that very much savage life. So I think that would be quite an interesting way of going about it. And then of course you've got Michael Keaton, you know, and I think with his role, he'll occupy the future take of everything that's within that realm. So again, you've got the Terry McGinnis version, which I know seems like a lot of people would like to see that, and that would extend further on all the heroes and characters within that realm. You know, bring it all as a one, so that you've got different dimensions. So you don't necessarily have to stick to one. You could have multiple fronts. So you could literally bring a good balance. You know, you could really return, you know, DC to maybe a prevalent position. Because, like I said, you know, all of this is hinted on how Flashpoint retcons. And I'm sure, you know, the director Andy has had talks with the studio to say, look, everything's a mess right now. Everything's convoluted. Everything's up and down now with Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn, you know, Aquaman. Everything is all jumbled up, and there's no concise, no way of looking at where's who, where, at what point, what time. So best, retcon everything and then just restart it with completely new people, new actors, and have someone in the forefront that can really control this thing, that can steer this, you know, thing. So, you know, you can do it. You know, you've got lots of talent. You know, Kevin Smith, Jeff Johns. You know, they could be one of the people at the forefront. You know, again, you could get there are very avid people, fans who know precisely how to handle balancing character arcs. You know, you look at the MCU, look at the proven record that they've done, that they've shown. They've shown, you know, over the course period of where they're at now. It's unbelievable. You know, this is where DC should have been at. You know, but again, they were faffing about. You know, they weren't being concise. They weren't being direct with what they were trying to show, and what they were showing wasn't good enough. And it simply hasn't been good enough. So, you know, you've got to step it up now, you know. I love competition. I want there to be competition. I want Marvel to be, you know, pushed even further still, you know. But if DC, if you're not even trying, then, you know, on your own head be it, man. So, but personally, you got people in the top suits, they know, that are controlling things, and in all honesty, there's no one that has a tight ship on this, not like Kevin Feige, who is totally better. So as of right now, DC, you're far behind. So you really need to step your game up, really and truly. So yeah, so that's it really. So that's been debunked. So as we now know, Michael Keaton will probably only show up in Flashpoint. Where he will go from there is anyone's guess. I mean, it really depends. I think it really depends on Justice League and how things shape in the coming months. So they might look him into having maybe one or two few starring roles. I think if it's progressively going to go into the future. But then obviously there's Ben Affleck, and I think people would like to see Ben Affleck, his take on his own Batman, which I think he wanted to promote his Batman movie. I don't think he wanted to really develop that, but we shall wait and see how things translate. But thank you very much, people, for listening in and watching, and please leave a comment. What do you guys think? Do you think where do you see the future going with DC? Do you think Batman is that character? Do you think he could take, Robert Pattinson? Do you think he could be the one to really lead the charge? Although he's having troubles, but don't listen to the Sun newspaper, because it's a crap newspaper. They're done. Trust me, they're rubbish. Or do you think Michael Keaton with Terry McGinnis is the one to really showcase everything that is to lead on to show? But yeah, interesting times in comics, I'll tell you that much. So drop a comment, like this video and subscribe. I'm on the come up right now, and by the end of the year I want to have I'd like to have 1,000 subscribers. But I mean, heck, if I could get more, that'd be fantastic. But I'm going to keep on with the news, keep giving the content, and keep improving what I show, okay? So with that being said, guys, peace, and look after yourself, and remember, wash them hands. Layers.